The hate you give. A lot of the most prominent movie reviewers on YouTube, they're not reviewing this movie at all. They're not discussing it. They skip over it as if it never came out. And that could be for several reasons. One, because they feel like they don't want to offend their fan base that they've garnered on YouTube. They don't want to offend it because they know or they think that their fan base is not going to want to hear a movie about police brutality. They're not going to digest it well. They will take offense to it because they don't like to talk about racial issues because it makes them uncomfortable. And my thing is, if the topic about it makes you uncomfortable, how do you think it makes people of color feel that it's actually happening to our people? So it's not a topic I'm gonna gloss over. It's not a topic I'm not gonna talk about, because frankly, I'm not concerned with who likes my video, who doesn't, who gives me flack for it. It is what it is. But I think a lot of the most prominent YouTube viewers will probably view it if it receives critical acclaim, if it gets some type of Oscar nominations or something like that. Then they'll be forced into reviewing it because when movies are popular, a lot of people are forced to talk about it because it's the it factor. But nonetheless, I went to go see the movie last Thursday and I was absolutely blown away. Amandla Stenberg, she stars as Star Carter. She did a fantastic job in this movie. I remember her from Rue and The Hunger Games and Everything. Beautiful young lady. She did a great job in this movie. And Russell Ormsby needs some type of Oscar, some type of Academy Award for his performance as Star's father, Maverick Carter. Brilliant. That's the conversations that he had with his children, how he talked about police brutality, how he uplifted them with the words that he used. He explained their names and why he gave them their names. He had a reason for naming his children what he did, and he believed in them, and he stood steadfast and supportive of his daughter when she wanted to speak out about what happened to her friend Khalil. And I thought the presence of a strong black father in a household with a strong black woman, I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was a great image to display. And Russell Ormsby, man, he blew me away with that performance, man. Just every time he says something, it just captures you, and you felt it in your heart and your soul. It grasps you so strongly. But the movie is about Amandla Stenberg's character, Star Carter. She witnesses her childhood best friend Khalil get murdered by a police officer while they're in the car after a traffic stop, and he's murdered after the police stop him. He gets out of the police tell him to get out the car. He's looking in the car trying to calm down Star, and Star is just like, oh my God, you just never know what's going to happen. Please stay where you are. He reaches in the car to get a hairbrush, and he's shot by the police because the police believes that he has a gun on him and he's going to do something. So he shoots and kills him. So for one, a lot of people are going to address this. Do I think that Khalil should have reached into the car? No, he shouldn't have. But I've seen many instances heard many instances where you've had white Americans who spit, kicked, and punched the police officer and nothing happened to them. They went away and got arrested calmly. They weren't killed. They weren't shot. Any of that. So that raises eyebrows in those instances. And there is a point in the movie where Common, who's a police officer, he's Star's uncle, and he basically was explaining the police's way of thinking and why it may have happened. And he was trying to come from a law enforcement standpoint. And Star says, if he were a white man, if you saw him reach in the car, would you have told him to put his hands up now? Would you have acted properly, just told him to put his hands up? Or would you have shot him? And she said, and the comment said, I would have told him put his hands up. Now, you can say, oh, that was a bait thing, or you just tried to make it seem like, but no, this is a real thing because there are several law enforcement members who are afraid of African-American men. They think we're prone to be aggressive. They think we can do anything at the drop of a dime. They think that we'll just do anything. They look at us as vicious individuals because they look at the news and see, oh, it's in my hometown. Oh, look in Chicago, they doing this and doing that. So they think that we just these vile human beings. And then you have a black man in the law enforcement, in law enforcement, who takes on the ideologies of these white law enforcement members, he starts to think the same thing. He looks at black men as if we just aggressive animals. And that was just so, it was eye-opening, and it was just so heartbreaking, and that we're looked at as such vicious individuals. You know what I mean? And people think that we exaggerate this fear of law enforcement, that we don't really have a fear that something's going to happen to us at a traffic stop. And it's real. It's absolutely real. And I've had experiences with this type of thing, and I've never committed a crime in my life. But when law enforcement, like, I've been walking places, they come up and ask me questions because something is going on in the neighborhood, and I'm a college kid back home at school, or they told me they got a report of a shorter black male dressed in certain type of clothing. Because I dress like an inner city African American male, I could throw on a suit too, but hey, this is the environment that I come from, so I dress, like the youth around me in my neighborhood, cool, nice, flat clothing. And people have questioned me, and I got uneasy, and I've never committed a crime in my life. So it's real, But yeah, I've seen instances where white Americans have punched and kicked the police officer, and nothing crazy has happened to them. And like when Common was talking about that, and coming from that standpoint, like he would have just asked a white man to raise his hands up. It shows you how you have individuals, even black American cops, in these positions, and they start to think that, oh, we got a black man, we got to handle him a certain type, we got to handle him like he's an aggressor. Like, whoa, man, my man, we come from the same environment. Like, you should know how to get through to me and talk to me to dissolve this situation or disarm this situation, and not look at me as like a vile, vicious human being. This movie tackles so many points that I would like to address. Well, and this is one thing I've had with several friends of mine, the topic of code switching. So when Star was in Garden Heights, I believe is where the neighborhood she lived in, she would act and talk one way around her black friends when she would get to school, because she went to a school that was predominantly white. And when she would get around at that school, she wouldn't use slang. She would try to deviate away from it because she didn't want to be looked at as the ghetto girl by the people that she went to school with, by the white people that she went to school with, if she used that slang. But then they were using all the slang to be cool and fit in, And so when she was talking about police brutality after her friend got killed, her friend Haley in the movie, she was like, I guess on her Tumblr, when Amanda's character, a Star, was posting all the police brutality clips, Emmett Till and stuff like that, and talking about police brutality on her Tumblr page, her friend was taken aback, like, you're changing, you're not like this. And that's who Star always has been, but she had to shield certain aspects of who she was, she felt like she did, around her white friends, because she didn't want to come off as this ghetto, angry black girl, stuff like that. And it's like, no, like, we always have this topic, like, you shouldn't have to. First of all, it's not a matter of being too urban around white people. It's just always, and when you're in a professional setting, and being professional, but you shouldn't have to change the way you talk around white people and around black people. You know what I mean? Like, change, like when I say change the way, okay, we're going to use certain phrases different, but around our people, we're prone to be more comfortable. But you shouldn't, I shouldn't be talking like this now. Then when I get around Caucasian American, I get the, hi, how you guys doing? It's so nice to meet. Like, no. I'm going to, hey, how you guys doing? How you doing? I'm still going to talk in my same voice tone and everything like that. So it kind of brought up a good deal, because she wasn't being true to herself and being authentic in this predominantly white environment. They thought when she talked about these issues of police brutality, she was just changing and being somebody totally different than who she was. And then when she finally chose to speak up and speak on behalf of her friend and come out as a witness against the police officer, you had the media talking about his past issues. Like, we heard he was possibly selling drugs, and bringing up they try to bring out flaws in his character in order to justify his killing. And this happens several times. When we've seen these police brutality cases, you try to bring up how, Mike Brown may have been suspended from school for smoking weed, or he may have got suspended from school from this or that, or another person may have got suspended from school for fighting and all that type of stuff. Like, what does that have to do with him being killed unjustly? What does that have to do with him having his life being taken away? Michael Brown, what was I talking about? Not Michael Brown. I was talking about, it was somebody, who else I was talking about? Oh, like you could talk about, Eric Garner when he got choked by the police officer and killed. And you could bring up, oh, well, he was doing this and he used to be selling, he possibly could have been selling marijuana. Somebody could say something like that. Oh, he was selling loose squares, illegally. What does that have to do with him getting his life taken? They try to bring out flaws in a person's character in order to justify them being killed. And that is the most horrible thing you could do. The most horrible thing that you could do. Because how can you paint a victim as the villain to try to get a police officer off for wrong that he's done? It's just, it's foul. It's absolutely foul. And we've seen it happen time and time again. And then even her friend Haley said, well, he was a drug dealer. Something was going to happen to him. He was going to die anyway, basically. And that's how a lot of people, you have a lot of people that think about African-American lives because they may have had a troubled past. Oh, he was going to die anyway. Are you serious? You know how disrespectful, you know how insulting that is? He was going to die anyway. You don't know what that man was going to do. He could have went on to do great things, change his life around, and become a help to the African-American community and help the relations between police officer and African-American communities. But you never know. You judging them saying, oh, he was going to be this. He basically saying he deserved to die is what it sounds like people that she was saying. Or it was going to happen anyway. It was inevitable. So it is what it is. And you have people that think like that. Even in the TV show that I was watching, The Chi on Showtime, you had some police officers that thought like, hey, they're going to kill each other anyway, so it is what it is. We just expediting the process, basically, by, killing an African-American male, So, and that's how you have some people that think like that. I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of people in law enforcement thought like that, So, but then there was another aspect too. Oh, because I talk about this all the time. I hate when people say things like, I don't see color. I hate that because her boyfriend, Star, was in, what you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? She was in an interracial relationship with a young man named Chris at her school. It was a white guy. And when she was talking to him and she was going through it. It was so real how days later she's throwing up because she just traumatized at what she sees. And this is all real. And I like that. Like, she didn't just the next day, like, everything was back to normal. It was like she was grieving heavily from it. Heavily. Her best friend getting killed right in front of her by a police officer after he's reaching for a brush. It's traumatizing. But anyway, Chris says, I'm not like that. I don't see color. And I hate when people say that. Because when you don't see color, just say you're not a racist. Just say I'm not racist. I don't judge people before I get to know them. I don't have prejudices against people of color, black people. I don't have any of that. Don't say you don't see color because, first of all, you're not colorblind. Second of all, if you don't see my blackness, like she said, you're not aware of how to interact with me, you're not aware of the sensitivities of my people. You're not aware of the sensitivities of my culture. And so you're just going to just say whatever and do whatever because you're not being aware because you don't see color. So you don't see me. You're going to just say certain things that you shouldn't say that may possibly be offensive to my people, may possibly be harmful words. And then our relationship gets even more it gets even more tension filled because you're not being aware or cognizant of how to engage with the African American male. Like, certain ethnicities and certain cultures have sensitivities, and you're trying to treat everybody the same and you're trying to talk to everybody and engage with everybody the same type of way as you would engage with somebody of your culture is not how the life works. You got to learn how to be able to interact with people of all walks of life and all cultures, all races. So you got to be aware of color. So I hate when people say I don't see color. Stop that. Stop with those shenanigans, man. This is pretty authentic review. I'm going off the top of the head. I don't have any notes in front of me at all. But yeah, though, like, I just loved how they attacked so many different issues in his movie and they didn't shy away from certain things. Because in the process, she lost her friend Haley. She had to explain to her boyfriend Chris why he can't say things like, I don't see color and stuff like that. She had to explain those type of issues because it is all real. Now, in the movie, the police officer is not charged. He walks away scot-free. Then you have the drug dealer in the neighborhood, King, played by Anthony Mackie. And he is the dating Russell Hornsby's son. Russell Hornsby and his wife, they went on a breakup. And then he went and got with another woman and had a child. And eventually he got back with the woman who would eventually become his wife. So Seven, the son, has a different mother than Star and her little brother. What is her little brother's name in the movie? Her little brother's name is Sakani. So Seven has a different mother than Star and Sakani. And so her mother is dating the local drug dealer. And, one thing I didn't like, though, is how at the end they brought... Now, we have to be aware of individuals in our community who are poisoning our community, people who are helping leading to the destruction of our people. We have to be accountable for those things, how to hold our people accountable for things like that. But then it just took so... After we saw the police officer that one time and he got off, it took the whole attention away from the police officer and directed it back to the drug dealer. And I'm like, yo, hold on, wait a second. We got to get back on him too now. He walked away scot-free. Let's figure out what's going on with him. Where is he at? How does he feel now that he walks away scot-free? How's the community, like, you saw them in outrage. You saw them going back and forth with the police officer and law enforcement and everything like that. But it's like, hold on, wait a second. It kind of gave me the aspect of, if they stop committing violence against each other, then the police will stop doing it, which is a bunch of BS. I was like, hold on. I ain't like that part, you know what I mean? But the King, he was a vile person. He should have been in jail. But in the grand scheme of how I wanted the movie to play out, I'm like, oh, it ends with the drug dealer going to jail. Like, he was, and it makes it a long-lasting effect. If that's the last thing you see, you think the drug dealer was the ultimate bad guy in a movie, or you just thinking like, oh, he was just the worst person. And you forget about the police officer at the time. Like, man, like, because you don't even see him after that one scene, even though they have interaction with the police officers. Kind of brings you back to that, if they start treating each other better in their community, then the police will do it. Like, no, we shouldn't have to. Although you shouldn't have all this crime and heinous activity within our communities, but it happens in a lot of communities. They just don't like to talk about it and glorify it in other communities outside of the black community. But kind of give them that fact, like, oh, if they stop killing each other, they stop selling drugs to each other and stuff like that, we'll stop. Well, maybe the police will stop. Like, no, that's two separate things. Police should not be unjustly killing African Americans. Point blank, period. But like I said, great movie. I enjoyed it. I was moved to tears almost at certain scenes. I thought they were going to kill a little boy at the end of the movie, man. I thought it was going to come down to that, if you saw the movie and you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it just addressed so many things, man. So many, I'm trying to think if I left anything out in this review that I'm doing. It's really more of a discussion rather than a movie review, because I've just talked about the different angles that the movie attacked, or, the movie, talked about how it approached certain things. Was there anything that I'm leaving out? Trying to think. When Star was talking about how her friends were using, like, you have some people that use the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's within the black community and outside of the black community, who use it as a stay with her friends at the school that was predominantly white. They were using her friend's death and fake being woke, fake protesting to get out of school, and use that as an excuse to get out of school and have fun rather than take it seriously. And it was such an insult and slap in the face to her, because that was her friend. She'd been knowing him for the longest. And even if it wasn't her friend, it's an innocent life being taken away unjustly. And then she was in the car, and it addresses. And that made me think about so many people who try to seem woke just to be with trends, just to, because it's trendy to do so. It's trendy to talk about these topics. Deep down, they don't really care. They don't really care what's going on in the communities. They don't really care. You got some people that really just don't care about what's going on. amongst our people. Like, it really, like, if it's not affecting me, if it's not my family, it is what it is. And I think this movie will help people further wake up and recognize that these type of things affect not just our people. It has a long-lasting effect on everything in our interactions with law enforcement and how we move forward from here. Because this acronym, The Hate U Give, comes from Tupac's, this movie, The Hate U Gives, comes from Tupac's acronym of Thug Life. The hate you give little infants, F's everybody. And what he was talking about when he said that is how society's the neglect that society gives little black children comes back to bite them in the butt at the end, because, when you have these society neglecting and, mistreating and oppressing little black children and people of color, when they get older, they wild out and they wonder what's going on, why are they acting like this, and what is this going on, why is this and why is that, why they don't really having these interactions with us, because of all the negative things that was happening to them as they were children and stuff that they saw and experienced while they were growing up. So hopefully this will, keep spreading awareness, keep creating conversations, and lead past conversations, lead to some initiatives to help better the relationship between African American people or people of color, better the relationship between people of color and African American people and law enforcement, because we see there's a clear divide. We see that there is mistrust, and mistrust from the police officers think that we're vile and think we just these vile human beings, which it shouldn't be. But it's mistrust on our side, because we don't know if some law enforcement members are for us or against us, if they're prejudging us or they're not. So hopefully it will lead past discussions and lead to some more initiatives to break down that barrier. I believe here in Chicago, Illinois, you have more African American police officers being hired because, for one, they believe that our people are best suited to interact with our people in these rough neighborhoods, in these rough communities, because we come from it. We know how to talk to our people, for the most part, at least. For the most part. Hopefully when some people get these badges, they don't let their power, just get out of hand. But for the most part, we know how to talk to our people, and we know how to diffuse certain situations because we've seen it on our day-to-day basis, So, again, great movie. Very impressed. Russell Ormsby, man. Oh my God, he touched me so hard, man. Like I said, I have a daughter, and I hope she's never in a situation like this. Going forward, I hope when I have a son, he's never in a crazy situation like this. And these are conversations that I will have to have with my children. But again, great movie. Hope you guys should go out and check it out. And I think that more movie critics should review this and don't shy away from it, because it's an important conversation. It's an important discussion that needs to be talked about, whether your viewers or your followers like it or not. It's something that needs to be talked about. Glad I could talk about it with y'all, man. Machiavelli Meals TV, and I'm out.